بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ما بعد. The topic today is Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah. Okay. Okay, we'll do Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah. So Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah, that's the topic of today. So we already spoke about the categorization of Tawheed before, and just to recap quickly what we said that the Tawheed in the past has been classified as two types, Tawheed Al Rububiyyah and Tawheed Al Uluhiyyah. And from Tawheed Rububiyyah, which is the Tawheed of Allah's attributes and names and functions as the Lord, they said part of that is Tawheed Asma' wa Sifat, the names and attributes of Allah. And when people started to become confused about that, they separated it and they said, look, you forgot about Tawheed Asma' wa Sifat, so they made it a third category when they used to start teaching the Tawheed. And that is a permissible matter in Islam. It's a matter of classification and categorizing the matters to explain it and make it easy for the people to understand. And that was known to be the three categories of Tawheed for a long time, until some people, they started to say, again, people have become confused and they started to think that man can legislate instead of Allah. So they started to emphasize on an aspect of Tawheed, part of Tawheed Uluhiyyah in relation to our actions, our obedience to following Allah, the aspect of Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah, the topic of the legislation belonging to none but Allah, the sovereignty, supremacy belonging to nobody but Allah. And so they started to emphasize it and teach it as a fourth category of Tawheed in order to teach and to remind the people of what they've forgotten. So that's the topic of today, Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah. So just to give you a little bit of understanding about what some of the people they said about making it a fourth category of Tawheed. And some people will exaggerate on the matter, from those government scholars that try to defend the rulers of today. They emphasize on the matter and make it the deciding factor of whether you are from Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah or not. And this is from their own ghulu in the deen, their own exaggeration, and even you could say innovation in the deen, when they emphasizing on the matter too much beyond, contriving beyond what they were supposed to do or supposed to be accountable for. So what is agreed upon is that Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah, the exclusive right of Allah, to legislate, okay, this is agreed upon, that it is the right of Allah to be the only legislator, that He's the only commander, the only one who can make halal and haram, assign reward and punishment. He's the only one that can make you accountable, and we'll look to all the evidences for that inshallah in a moment. But the actual dispute is a really minor one, where some of the scholars today, they said that making Tawheed Haakimiyyah a fourth category of Tawheed, they say it's an innovation, it's a bid'ah. Whereas others, they said, no, there's no harm in saying it's a fourth category and teaching it as a distinct aspect of Tawheed. There's no harm in that. At the end of the day, all of it is part of the Tawheed, part of one Tawheed. Okay, Rububiyyah, Uluhiyyah, Asma' wa Sifat, Haakimiyyah, it's all part of one aspect, which is the foundation of the deen, that exclusive right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be the only one that is worshipped, followed and obeyed, and for all of His own rights to be given to Him. So among those who said that it's a bid'ah, okay, let's have a look at those who said that it's a bid'ah. Okay, and those who said it's not a bid'ah. Okay, among them you have, okay, Rabi' Al-Madkhali. Let's put Shaykh in respect for his age, if nothing else. Okay, Rabi' Al-Madkhali, Rabi' bin Hadi Al-Madkhali is among those who said that no, to declare Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah as an aspect of Tawheed, or a distinct a fourth category of Tawheed, they said this is a bid'ah, and this is a deviation from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Among them also you have, okay, and this is a slightly different line, they are not the same, but they have the same position on this matter, Shaykh Nasiruddin Al-Albani. Okay, and I will tell you exactly what he said so there's no confusion. Okay, because he didn't say that Allah is not the only legislator. Rather, what he said was that judging by what Allah has sent down is part of Tawheed Uluhiyyah. Okay, since it is from the types of worship due to Allah, the one who is free from all imperfections. Okay, I will repeat the quote inshallah, but I'll finish it first. And all of the types of worship fall under Tawheed Al-Uluhiyyah. So making Hakimiyyah a separate category is an innovated matter which has not been the saying of any of the classical scholars as far as we know. Okay? So I'll repeat that again. He said, judging by what Allah has sent down comes under Tawheed Al-Uluhiyyah, since it is from the types of worship due to Allah. Okay. And all of the types of worship fall under Tawheed Al-Uluhiyyah. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay, so he said, and all of the types of worship fall under Tawheed Al-Uluhiyyah. So making Hakimiyyah a separate category is an innovated matter. Okay, and he said, which has not been the saying of any of the classical scholars as far as we know. Okay, and he also said after that, he said, and Hakimiyyah also falls within Tawheed Rububiyyah from the aspect that Allah decrees whatever He wills. So we spoke about this already before, Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah Takwiniyyah, His qadr, His decree, but that's was a side issue. Okay, another person who says that Tawheed Hakimiyyah as a fourth category is a bid'ah is Shaykh Salih ibn Uthaymeen. Okay, Shaykh Salih ibn Uthaymeen. Okay, he said, we conclude that those who call Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah a fourth category of Tawheed, okay, have made a mistake and left the methodology of the Salaf on this aspect. So he said, we conclude that those who call Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah a fourth category of Tawheed have erred, have made a mistake, and have left the methodology of the Salaf on this aspect. Okay. You with me? Yeah. Okay. We conclude that those who call Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah a fourth category of Tawheed have made a mistake and have left the methodology of the Salaf on this aspect. Okay, that's not the end of the quote, by the way. It's only half the quote. Okay, you with me? So he said, we say that it is similar to the rules of tajweed. Okay, this is the argument of Uthaymeen. So we say that it is similar to the rules of tajweed. They are fixed and agreed upon. Okay. And anyone who suddenly invents a new rule of tajweed has made a mistake, is what he said. Okay, so he said, we say that it is similar to the rules of tajweed. Okay, tajweed, obviously the rules of recitation. I said they are fixed and agreed upon. And anyone who suddenly invents a new rule of tajweed has made a mistake, or has been basically is misguided or is erred. I don't, except for Kitab al-Iman by Shaykh Umar Bakr Muhammad. But let me see. It shouldn't be hard to find, to be honest with you. There's lots of quotes like that you can find with them.
And anyone who suddenly invents a new rule of tajweed
has made a mistake. Right, or is mistaken. Before I go on, we should point out something about this argument. First of all, the argument about tajweed rules, is wrong from a number of angles. Number one is that the rules of tajweed have been transmitted from the Sahaba to the Tabi'een by mutawatir chain, by the specific way that they recited the Quran, even when it differs with the normal, sometimes the normal rules of grammar, even because it overrides whatever the Quran overrides, a specific matter of revelation of how it was revealed and how it was recited by the Sahaba and recited through the various reciters of the Tabi'een. That doesn't change. That is how it was recited. Whereas the classification of Tawheed is not something that was made by the Sahaba and decided a matter of revelation. It was a classification made even after the 3rd century Hijri by the ulama, when they were teaching the people and correcting the misguidance of the Mu'tazila and others. That's when they started to talk about Tawheed Rububiyyah, Tawheed Uluhiyyah, Tawheed Asma' wa Sifat. That didn't happen in the time of the Sahaba at all. You don't find any hadith of Sahaba saying the Tawheed is 3 types of Tawheed, Rububiyyah, Uluhiyyah, Asma' wa Sifat. It doesn't exist. That's not how it was transmitted. That was a matter that was later formulated, just like the terms Fard, Mandub, Mustahab, Mubah, makruh, haram, makruh tahrimi, wajib. These words were used as classification by the ulama of the Salaf, from the Tabi'een, not established by the Sahaba specifically defining them the way that we necessarily use them today. These are terms of usul al-fiqh. So this classification of ilm al-tawheed, it came afterwards, after the early generations of the Sahaba and Tabi'een. Okay, so we're talking about contemporary scholars that talk about this issue of the fourth category of Tawheed. This is a matter which is new anyway. This concept of using the 4th category of Tawheed is something which has been mentioned new, and it wasn't something which was spoken about as a 4th category before. Among those who said that it's not an innovation and that it's not prohibited to classify Hakimiyyah as a category of Tawheed, they include a number of well-known scholars as well, such as Sheikh Abdullah Ghunayman. Okay, you could say as well here Sheikh Umar Mahmoud or Abu Qatada, this is more well known. Sheikh Abu Muhammad Maqdisi, Sheikh Omar Bakr Muhammad, okay, Sheikh Abu Halima, okay, and many others as well. Typically those ulama from those who support the jihad fi sabilillah and reject the kufr regimes, they're usually the ones. And among obviously the first to really sort of highlight this issue was obviously Sheikh Sayyid Qutb. And this is why the Madkhalis, those who follow Rabi al-Madkhali, they like to label anybody who also believes in Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah, whether they say it's a fourth category or not, they like to label them as Qutbis and so on and so forth. Okay? And really people don't know even what that means. What it means to follow, should they say it's Qutb or not, or what Tawheed Haakimiyyah even is really referring to. Sometimes, especially among the youth, among those who are just first, they come across these wild statements of some of these scholars that say, calling everybody Khawarij, calling everybody Takfiri. If they hear the word Tawheed Haakimiyyah, they automatically go into this mode of your Qutbi, your Khawarij and so on. They don't understand that actually those scholars are not saying Tawheed Haakimiyyah doesn't exist. Or they're not saying that Tawheed Haakimiyyah is not part of Tawheed, or that it doesn't count. All they said was, don't make it a fourth category of Tawheed. Okay? And we don't need to make it fourth category. We can say it's part of Tawheed Uluhiyyah. This is fine. There's no problem. The impact is the same. You still become mushrik if you take a legislator instead of Allah. That's the impact. That's the difference that we need to understand. That the one who commits shirk in the Hakimiyyah of Allah, he is mushrik, whether it's a fourth category of Tawheed or it's part of Tawheed Uluhiyyah. If you're mushrik in Tawheed Uluhiyyah, you kafir or not? Are you mushrik or not? You're mushrik. So what is the difference does it make if you separate it to a fourth category or you keep it as part of the second category? It's really quite irrelevant. Okay, so this is just one thing we need to understand. So what are we talking about in terms of the evidences for Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah? What we're saying is the importance of this topic. And was evidence that the legislation and sovereignty belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so we're going to focus on this all just today, inshallah. And if we look to a couple of verses of the Quran to help us, there's just one that I want to just double check the reference for. If you understand, when we talk about Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah, we are really talking about, I think I've unplugged something. Does it still sound? Just double check for me. I'm going to rub this out, inshallah, yeah? Okay. What we are saying is that the Creator is not like creation. Okay? And that the Creator legislates, not creation. That is what we are essentially saying. We cannot swap the roles. The relationship between the people and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one of the Creator and the creation. Okay? The worshipper and the worshipped. Okay? He is worshipped. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is al-ma'bud. We are al-ibad. We worship, and He is the one that is worshipped. Allah is al-khaliq, the creator. We are al-makhluq. We are the creation. That we obey. He is the obeyed. He's the one that's obeyed. Al-muta'. Okay, that's why Ibn Qayyim said that anything that is obeyed instead of Allah, anything worshipped, followed or obeyed instead of Allah is Tawheed. Is a God that's been worshipped instead of Allah. Okay, we don't separate between the two. Obedience is part of worship. Following is part of worship. That is the relationship. He is the legislator. Okay, He is the legislator. Okay, and we are, we obey that legislation. We do not legislate, so we don't swap the roles. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Nahl, verse 17. Okay. Surah Nahl, verse 17. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أفمن يخلق كمن لا يخلق أفلا تذكرون. Allah Ta'ala says, is the one who creates similar to the one who it does not create? Okay, is the creator similar to the creation, basically? Will you not then contemplate? Will you not think? Okay, so this is the difference. And Allah Ta'ala as well, He says, okay, in the verse, in Surah 7 verse 54. Okay, so this is really 16, 17, 7 verse 54. Okay, 7 verse 54, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He says, أَلَا لَهُ الْخَلْقُ وَالْأَمْرُ تَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. He said, is it not for Allah, is it not for Him, the creation and the command? Okay, is it not for Him the creation and the command? Okay, and He is obviously all blessed, the Lord of the worlds. So this verse Allah Ta'ala declaring that the creation and the command come together. The creation and the legislation come together. The one who creates, He commands. The one who creates, He legislates. He decides halal and haram. And how can it be any other way? The one who creates you, He knows best what is good for you and what is bad for you, what is beneficial and what is harmful. And that's the purpose of legislation, is to remove all harm and to bring all benefit. That's the purpose of it. So who is better to achieve that than the one who created you in the first place? People, whenever they make laws, they have to correct themselves afterwards. Britain have never got it right. They've never got it right. And even when they're fixing it, they think they are fixing it, they're making it worse. That's what happens when men make laws. They will always be unjust. When have men ever made laws and not been oppressors? It's impossible. Because men by their own nature, they are flawed. They don't know what's good for them. Okay? They don't know what's good for them. You don't think, you cannot just think, human beings, Allah blessed us with intelligence so we can figure it all out. Do you really think that people, they always act in the best manner? They will always make laws in the best manner and not to serve their own greed? You think when the rich have some power, they won't take advantage of the poor? You think when the strong have power, they won't take advantage of the weak? Okay, look to the UK. Every time they change the laws. Before it was racism. The whites were strong, so they oppressed all the blacks. It was all democratic, it was all legal, it was fine. There were no problems with it. Then they had to change it and say, okay, maybe we shouldn't have done that. So now they changed it. When the men had all the power and the women had no rights, they used to abuse the women. It was all legal, all democratic, no problem. Then they started to fix it, and they still haven't fixed it. They still can't get things right. So you see, whenever men, they make the laws, they will have to, accept that they're going to be wrong. They're going to make mistakes. Okay? Men, they cannot even, human beings, they cannot just even look after themselves in the best way. Okay? How many times you see people, they pick up a cigarette box, they read the front, it says, smoking kills. Okay, I'll have one of those. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with those people? They don't know what is harmful for them in their face, they still want to take it. Whatever's beneficial for them, they want to throw it away. They want to say that hijab is something backwards, is something evil. Okay, and they want to even ban it. They want to ban the niqab, ban the burqa. Because they see in France, they see the niqab, the hijab and the jilbab, they see that's something bad, evil, harmful for society. But pornography, mashallah, they see is modern, is modernity, is civilization. Pornography, miniskirts, prostitution, it's all good. They legalize prostitution in a lot of these countries. In fact, prostitution is not illegal in this country either. There's only brothels that are supposed to be illegal, but they turn a blind eye to it. So everything harmful, when men have the power, because why? Because it's their own temptation, their own desires. The shaitan will make it look for them so beautiful, beautify it for them, and man will fall for it. That's why it's so dangerous to put the law in the hands of men. That's why when men make laws, they always take advantage, they always abuse. So you see, this is why the command must belong to the Creator. أَلَا لَهُ الْخَلْقُ وَالْأَمْرُ. Is it not for the Creator? Is it not for Him? Both the creation and the command, they go together. You don't take it away from Allah Ta'ala and put it in the hands of men. Also, okay, we know from another principle we can point out, or another point that we can point out, is okay, your legislator is your Lord. What do I mean by that? I don't mean just, it has more than one meaning. Meaning, who is your legislator? He is your Lord, Allah. This is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is, if you take a man as your legislator, you've taken him as your Lord. Okay? This is the two ways of looking at it. Okay? Islam. Okay? So, the two ways of looking at it. I.e., Allah is the legislator. And two, if you take a man as legislator, you have taken him as Lord, okay, and worshipped him. Okay, that's how you have worshipped him. Okay, you become Muslim. Okay, so look, what's the evidence for this? Simply, Surah Tawbah, verse 31. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله. Okay, they took their own rabbis and priests as lords instead of Allah. Okay, Surah number 9, verse 31. Allah Ta'ala says about the Jews and Christians, they took their rabbis and their priests as lords instead of Allah. Okay, how did they take them as lords instead of Allah? Okay, this is the question. What did they do that made them be considered to be worshipping their rabbis and the priests? So let's have a look at what some of the ulama said about this, inshallah. We'll just digress a little bit just to go into this ayah in a bit more detail. Okay, there's a hadith in Bukhari of Uday bin Hatim. Okay. Uday bin Hatim, he used to be Christian and he embraced Islam and he was still a new Muslim. So he said, I came to the Messenger of Allah wearing a cross of gold. He still had a cross on him from when he was Christian. He didn't even realize. Okay, or some people said that he didn't know he was still wearing, he only just become Muslim. Okay, so I came to the Messenger of Allah wearing a cross of gold. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "O Uday, remove this wathan from your neck. Remove this, worship thing from your neck." Okay, so the wathan is different from an idol. Idol is in the form of a human being or an animal. Okay, whereas you can have something else which is worshipped, which is not in the form of a human or an animal. Okay, it could be a tree, it could be a cross, it could be whatever. If it's worshipped, it's called wathan. So remove this or throw this wathan from your neck. So I threw it immediately. I came to him and he was reciting, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله. He was reciting, they took their rabbis and priests as lords instead of Allah. Do you want me to repeat, or are you with me?
No, that's fine.
Yeah? Okay. He said he was reciting, they took their rabbis and priests as lords instead of Allah. So I said to him, we did not used to worship them, Ya Rasulullah. Okay. He said, we didn't used to worship them. Okay? Meaning what? What he was saying, and I'll read to you what some of the Sahaba said about it afterwards. Meaning they didn't used to make sujood to them, they didn't used to make ruku' to them, they didn't used to do these things. Okay? So we did not used to worship them, Ya Rasulullah. So the Prophet ﷺ replied, didn't they used to forbid what Allah permitted and permit what Allah forbade and used to obey them? I said yes. The Prophet ﷺ said, that is how you worship them. Okay? Or that is how they were worshipped. Okay, depends on the narration. So that is how they were worshipped. Okay? So in other words, the reason why the rabbis and priests were considered lords is because they were legislating and the people were obeying their legislation. They were obeying their man-made laws. So that's how they made them lords instead of Allah. They worship those rabbis and priests instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On this hadith, in Tafsir al-Tabari, Hudayf ibn al-Yaman, he said, verily they never fasted for them and they never prayed for them. I mean, they never used to fast in the name of their rabbis and priests or pray to their rabbis and priests. Okay, so verily they never fasted for them and they never prayed for them. But when they said it is halal, something is halal, after Allah said it is haram, they took it from them. And when they made something haram, okay, after Allah had made it halal, okay, they used to forbid it as well. They used to accept it from them. And that is how they used to be rububiyyah. This is how they made them, the lords. Rububiyyah meaning from the word Rabb. This is how they made them lords. Okay, so this is Tafsir al-Tabari, volume 10, page 115. Hudayf ibn Yaman. I'll repeat it one time. Do you want me to repeat it all? Or?
Can you just repeat the reference?
Volume 10, page 115 of Tafsir al-Tabari. Okay.
Sorry, volume
10. And it's on the ayah anyway. It's on the ayah. If you will go to Tafsir al-Tabari, look for the verse, Surah Tawbah verse 31, you'll find it there inshallah. Imam Buhturi as well, he said, they used to order them to do something and they used to obey them. And they used to forbid them something and they used to obey them instead of taking what Allah revealed. And that is how they made rububiyyah. And if that happened, they become kafir. Okay, they disbelieved. Okay, so I'll repeat that again. Okay. So he said they used to order them to do something and they used to obey them. They used to forbid them from something and they used to obey them instead of taking what Allah revealed. Okay, instead of taking what Allah revealed. And that is how they made rububiyyah. And if that happened, they disbelieve. Okay. Okay. Surah Ra'd, Surah 13, verse 41. Imam Buhturi. Okay. Okay, so Surah 13, verse 41. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّا نَأْتِي الْأَرْضَ نَنْقُصُهَا مِنْ أَطْرَافِهَا وَاللَّهُ يَحْكُمُ لَا مُعَقِّبَ لِحُكْمِهِ وَهُوَ سَرِيعُ الْحِسَابِ. He said, have they never seen how we send the punishment to the earth, depriving everything that is in it? Because Allah judges, Allah legislates, and nobody can prevent or repeal or even. La mu'aqqib al-hukmi has a lot of words, a lot of meanings to it as well. Okay, let me rub this out, inshallah. I'm going to rub this out, is that okay? Okay, so another principle or point that we can take here: nobody can comment or stop, okay, or we can say even replace. All of this can be taken from the same verse: the law of Allah. Okay, these are all things that we learn from Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah based upon these verses. So Surah 13, verse 41. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاللَّهُ يَحْكُمُ لَا مُعَقِّبَ لِحُكْمِهِ. He, Allah, legislates, Allah rules, Allah governs, and nobody can comment on the hukm of Allah. Nobody can stop the hukm of Allah. Okay? Meaning, when Allah legislates, you cannot say, we're not going to do that one. We're not going to fulfill this law. We're going to have our own law. You can't do that. Nobody can say, Allah legislated, but He's wrong. Astaghfirullah. You can't say that. Nobody can say, Allah legislated this law, okay, but I will legislate instead of Him. I will say something else. No. And nobody can say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated so-and-so law, but we should debate it and comment on it. What do you think? Do you think Allah is right? Do you think Allah is wrong? Astaghfirullah, you can't have that debate. You can't have the discussion. And that is the job of the MPs in the parliaments in democracy. It is to debate whether or not we should have this law or that law, whether we should fulfill the law of Allah or not. Okay? If somebody says, for example, when they start to have these votes in the elections, and don't be fooled by any of those so-called Muslim MPs, so-called Muslim MPs, when they have votes in these parliaments, like the one recently they had, not too long ago, they said, should a man be able to marry a man? A woman be able to marry a woman? How can you have that debate in the first place when you know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated about it already? Even if you are a Christian, it's supposed to be a Christian country. Even the Christians know the law of Allah, the law of God, the Creator, in the Bible, in the Torah, in the Quran, in every book, you know, is the same. In fact, hardly you find any religion except for the atheist religion that says homosexuality is allowed. You won't find anybody. I remember I was doing one event. It was this a religious education, special event at one of the schools. Funnily enough, state school. I was surprised. They let radical like me in there, to teach all their children about Islam. And we had a nice panel discussion at the end. I did like a mock question time thing. Very good. I'm doing it again this year, in fact, as well, unless the papers find out about it. And basically, there was a Hindu, there was a Christian, there was myself, and there was some atheist. In the end, the rest of them were a little bit insignificant. It was just me and the atheist having a big debate really all the time, making digs at each other. And I'll be honest with you, I think he was more upset than I was about it in the end. I was very happy, to be honest with you. But the question came about homosexuality and marriage. And everybody from every religion in the whole panel, they all said the same thing. It's not allowed, it's not correct, it's wrong, it's something bad, it's something evil, it's unnatural. The only one obviously was this guy, the atheist. So all those people sitting in parliament, even the so-called Christians among them, and they have in this country constitution, they said there must be some Christian bishops as part of the parliament. That is their own constitution. They said it is a Christian country as part of their own constitution. And yet they're sitting in the parliament debating about gay marriages. And you know what those so-called Muslim MPs, they voted for? What they said, what do you think should happen? For them to debate it in the first place, it was kufr. For them to even think about, what do you think? Is it good or bad? Who told you you can decide what's good or bad? But they all decided what? They all decided it's okay, we should be allowed to have gay marriages. Every single one of those so-called Muslim MPs, and you can see all their names exposed, okay, including the local MP in this country, in this area, Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah. Go and ask her. Go and ask her why. Roshanara Ali, was it? Yes. Ask her. What were you thinking? Is that not clear-cut kufr? Okay. And what about all those so-called scholars that were calling everybody, go and vote for these Muslim MPs, they will help us. And they go into parliament and you are responsible for what they do. You vote for them, you appoint them as your representative to go and do it on my behalf. For me, in my name. You can't say after that, not in my name. It's too late. It's in your name. You voted for them. Okay? So they went there and they're committing this open kufr. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لا معقب لحكمه. Nobody can comment on the hukm of Allah. That's why I believe even to say صدق الله العظيم after you say Quran is wrong, is bid'ah. Allah is not needed for you to comment. Even to say Allah is correct. What, you didn't know that Allah is correct? Allah is always correct. It's bid'ah, yes. Yes, there's no evidence for it.
I've heard this bid'ah, but
yeah, to say it, the word itself is not bad. But to say it after recitation of the Quran, this is not from the Sunnah at all. There's no evidence
say
for it.
after recitation of the Quran, knowingly that it's not.
You shouldn't do it because you should. No, it is bid'ah, and we shouldn't do the bid'ah. We shouldn't imitate them or copy the people of bid'ah either. So this is something which is becoming an innovation. We avoid it completely. Okay, it's something that has no evidence whatsoever from the Sunnah. And it's not part of recitation. People make it part of the recitation to say afterwards we should say it. They make it like a Sunnah, and this is wrong. Okay, so we should avoid it. Okay. So and that's something. Even if you were to comment on the law of Allah to say is correct. Yeah, Allah doesn't need you to tell everybody that's correct. Allah needs you to obey and to rule and judge. To declare everything Allah revealed is haqq. Not this one is haqq and this one we're not sure. No, all of it is haqq. Okay? The big mistake some so-called moderate Muslims they make, secular Muslims, which are not, you can't be secular and Muslim at the same time. Secular one has no deen. Okay? That's what secular means. Ilmaniyya la diniyya. And the secular one is the one, I have no deen. Okay, that's what it means. But they will say to you, oh, we should tell the kuffar about the good parts of Islam. What, is there some kind of bad part of Islam? Yeah? What deen are you following? What deen do you believe in the first place? All of this Islam is good. All of Islam is haqq and is khair. And no man-made law can ever be equal or similar to the guidance of Allah and what was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is matter of aqeedah. That's why we say one of the nullifiers of Islam, those who say any guidance is similar or better than the guidance revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they say that, they are kafir, they nullified Islam. That's complete disbelief. Okay, so لا معقب لحكمه. Nobody can comment on the hukm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A couple of verses inshaAllah to stress on these points. Going back to what we were saying before as well. But Allah is the creator, therefore He's the legislator. Therefore He's the one that is worshipped. The two are together. Rububiyyah, uluhiyyah, they are linked. Allah is the Lord, that's why we worship Him. Okay? It's the same thing if you say, okay, Allah is my Lord, but I'll worship the idol. What do you mean? No? Why? No, you need to understand, your Lord is the one you worship. Your Lord is the one you obey. Your Lord is the one you follow. You can't set up associate partners with Him. When you start to give the rights of Allah, including of legislation, to other than Him, other than the Creator, that's when you're committing shirk in Allah Ta'ala. In Surah Ahqaf, verse 4. Okay, Surah Ahqaf, verse 4, which is Surah number, let's get this number for you inshaAllah. Surah 46, it's laptops. Surah 46, verse 4. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, says, قُلْ أَرَأَيْتُمْ مَا تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَرُونِي مَاذَا خَلَقُوا مِنَ الْأَرْضِ أَمْ لَهُمْ شِرْكٌ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ ائتوني بكتاب من قبل هذا أو أثارة من علم إن كنتم صادقين. Allah Ta'ala says, it's reference 46 verse 4. Okay. He said, have you seen those, say to them, have you seen those that they call to, that they worship instead of Allah? Show me what they've created from the earth. Or do they have a partnership, or do they have a share of the heavens that they created? Okay, so bring me, some evidence before this, from this book, okay, or any other evidence from the knowledge, if what you're saying is the truth. Where did you get this idea from? Where did you get this idea from? That those were you worshipped, whether it's the MPs or the rabbis or the priests or anybody else, or those in the grave that you are according to, making dua to, what did they create exactly? Where did you get it from? Where's the evidence for that? Okay, so people just blindly following in that shirk, they're not going to be saved. You're not going to be saved from that. You know they didn't create, and yet you worship them. You know that they're not the creator, and yet you worship them. Okay, and there's a reason why only the atheists tend to, invent this type of man-made law idea. Why? Because they don't believe in Allah. They don't believe in the Creator. They don't believe in the Creator. You don't believe in the Creator, and yet you leave what the Creator revealed to you, and you go to your own minds and your own ration and your own false ideas and desires. Surah Furqan verse 2. Surah 25 verse 2. Okay, Surah 25 verse 2. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الذي له ملك السماوات والأرض ولم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك وخلق كل شيء فقدره تقديرا. He said he is the one that all of the heavens and the earth belongs to him, and he hasn't taken any children, and he has no partner in his kingdom, and he is the one who creates everything, and he determines everything, determines for all of the creation, all of their own we say design or their own qadr or whatever he decrees for them. So people, they say to you, why don't you leave this country, as if the country belongs to the queen. The queen, what did she do to inherit this whole country apparently? Who told you that? And the funny thing is, it's not a lot of the people, they don't even see, okay, the queen owns it. No, they think they own it. Okay, they think they own it. People will say to you, why don't you leave the country if you don't like it? I say to them, I'm part of this country. If you don't like it, you go somewhere else. I've been here I've been here 30 years. I'm part and parcel of Britain. People like Anjum, people like me, Sheikh Omar, Sheikh Abu Hamza, this part of the landscape of the UK. You can't escape from it. Radical Islam, as they call it, okay, or calling for Islam and Khilafah and Shari'ah, it's been part of the way of life of Britain for the last 20 years. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. They say to you, no, I was born and bred here. Yeah, what do you think? Where do you think we were born? Where do you think we grew up? In fact, we speak better English than you. We know the country better than you. We're probably older than you. Been here longer than you. Why don't you go somewhere else? They think that they own the country. The country belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The country belongs to Allah. If you don't like His laws, He is the king of the earth. You don't like the laws of the king, you go somewhere else. But there isn't anywhere else. Even if you go to Mars, Mars belongs to Allah as well. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? So, this is who is the king? Who is the king of all kings? This idea of Malik Muluk, is a term belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what they used to say, that the Persian emperor used to call himself the king of kings. So this is shirk. You can't call yourself this name. You take away this name, because that belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if Allah is the king of all kings in the earth, how is it that you want to legislate and leave the law of the king? The king of all kings. Allah is the only legislator. And He's the only king. He's the only one who rules. Okay. The other thing we look to, Surah Qasas verse 70, which is Surah number, Qasas is Surah number 28. 28. Okay, 28 verse 70, you said. Okay. So I'll write those two references on the board for you. So the last one is Surah Furqan verse 2, and now Surah Qasas verse 70. Surah Qasas verse 70. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, وَهُوَ اللَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُ. He is Allah. There is none worthy of worship, following obedience, except for Him. لَهُ الْحَمْدُ فِي الْأُولَى وَالْآخِرَةِ وَلَهُ الْحُكْمُ وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. He said, and for Him is all praise from the first and in the after, or the last. Okay, and for Him is the hukum, the law, legislation, the decision, and to Him you will return. Okay, to Him you will return. So this is one of the first verses we're going to quote Allah talking about the hukum. Okay, law, decision. Okay, rule, judgments. All of these terms refer to the hukum. Okay, belongs to Allah. And we return to Him. To what? To be accounted. We're going to have to go and face Him. Okay? People are worried about the breaking the law. Why? Why do people, obey the law and they're afraid to break the law? Why? Because they think, I'm going to have to account for it. Someone's going to arrest me. I'm going to have to face a court and explain myself, defend myself. No? Even though we believe in these laws, a bunch of man-made laws, and we don't obey them, no? If you ever start to speak to a solicitor, who's having to defend people in the courts, they will look at everything in a different way. Whereas we look to the da'wah as, how can I spread the message of Islam? How can I spread the ahkam? How can I tell people about what Allah revealed? That's my objective. That's the way I'm thinking. What is the best way for me to express to you what Allah revealed? To tell you the haqq. A solicitor looks at it as, how am I going to explain that in court? How am I going to defend that? How am I going to present that to a jury? Bunch of sun reading, illiterate nobodies. How are they going to understand what you're saying and understand that you're not a terrorist? So they want to say, look, why do you say that? Don't say it like that. Don't say that. Say it like this. It's better. Okay? Because this is the way the solicitor thinking, not about clear message. I want to tell you a clear message. Bayan. Okay, al-balagh al-mubin is what Allah said. The job of the messengers, of the anbiya, the ulama, the du'at is what? Al-balagh al-mubin, the clear message. To make it absolutely clear to you what I'm thinking, what Allah has revealed to us, to explain it to you. That's my job. The solicitor is thinking, no, don't say it up front. Don't say it clear. If you say it clear, they're going to arrest you. You have to package it in another way. Why can't you say that we are, Islamic democracy? Why can't we say we have, shura is like democracy? Let's call it democracy. Let's say that we have democracy in Islam. Why not? They want to package it in a way. We don't want to package it in that way. Why? Because they're always thinking about, if you break the law, you have to answer to the judge, to the courts, to the prosecution. You have to answer for it. But Allah Ta'ala is telling you, the hukum, the law, the judgment, it belongs to Him, not to the man-made laws. Not to the man-made courts. It belongs to Allah. And you're going to return to Him to account for your deeds. He is the one you have to answer to. Not the man-made judge or king or whatever. Okay? So it belongs to Allah. And He will account you. Okay? I mean, you're going to be responsible to answer for what you do in this life to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody else. If you obey Allah, then you are obeying the law. If you disobey Allah, you are a criminal. It doesn't matter what other laws they are floating about. These are their own delusions, their own superstitions. No? If you want to look at the man-made law like this. Okay? There's a bunch of people in parliament who have declared what they think we should and should not do. And they've said, no, if you don't obey these laws, something bad is going to happen. Just like some superstitious person, he says, don't walk on the cracks of the road. Something bad is going to happen to you. Don't walk in front of the black cat. Something bad is going to happen to you. Okay, this is what they think. They want to throw salt over their shoulder and touch wood and all this business. The man-made law is like this. Man-made laws is like this, irrelevant. Makes no difference to us at all. Who cares what some guy in a wig says? What we care about is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah told us, obey Allah, you bring all benefits. If you disobey Allah, you'll be harmed. Something bad will happen to you.
Whether harm is dunya or the akhirah, it will happen. So the only law we're interested in obeying is the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we don't steal, because Allah said don't steal. Who cares about what the parliament says? That's why we don't murder or rape, because Allah said don't do it. Because haram is illegal, it's a crime by Allah legislating it. Allah legislated that these things are haram and crimes. He also legislated that fornication and adultery is crime as well. Homosexuality is a crime as well. Do you understand? And anything Allah legislated permissible for us, nobody can tell you that it is crime, haram. Allah Ta'ala said what? Eating apple is halal. Who said to you apple is haram? Who can tell you that? Allah Ta'ala said what? Taking slaves in jihad is permissible. Who can tell you now international law? What international law is that exactly? Allah Ta'ala, He is Rabbul Alameen. He's the Lord of all the worlds. Forget about international law, interplanetary law, if you like. The law of the universe. His law goes everywhere. Although the makan of taklif is the earth anyway. It's not beyond. So, the place of Allah's laws where they are to be implemented is the earth. And it will reach the whole earth anyway as well. So Allah Ta'ala legislated, and that's the only one that we have to answer to. And there's something else in this ayah we want to think about. Okay? Which you can also take from this verse. This verse is 28 verse 70. You can also take from this verse, okay, number 6. He is the legislator in all times, past, present, and the future. Okay? Why do I say this? Allah Ta'ala says what? لَهُ الْحَمْدُ فِي الْأُولَى وَالْآخِرَةِ وَلَهُ الْحُكْمُ وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. That for all praise, okay, and the waw al-ataf, the waw here of the hukum, the legislation, is they are together. So the praise and the law, the decision is for Allah. In the beginning and in the end. In all times. What those secular modernists, they want to tell you, is that no, Allah used to be the legislator. But now, as if they want to say, as if they want to say Allah has become tired, He doesn't want to do it anymore. It's impossible. They will say as if no, Allah's retired, He doesn't need to be legislated anymore. Now we can legislate instead of Allah. Especially with those who want to say to you, we need to change Islam. We need to reform Islam. Islam was good for 1400 years ago, but today things have changed. We don't have the camel anymore. Now we drive the cars and the planes. As if because of that, zina no longer becomes haram. What's the matter with you? What does that make a difference? What difference does that make? Prostitution is still haram, it's still a crime. Stealing is still a crime. What's the difference? Whether you steal a car or you steal a camel, you're still stealing. And some people, they make up their stupid arguments. Oh, now we don't use bow and arrow, now we have gun. Yeah, so what? Yeah, so what? If you kill somebody, you're still a murderer. So, the hukum, it belongs to Allah. It belonged to Allah in the time of Adam, when Shaitan, Iblis, when he disobeyed him. It belonged to Allah in the time of Nuh, when he punished all the mushrikeen for disobeying Allah. It belonged to Allah in the time of Lut alayhi salam, when the disbelievers, they invented their own homosexuality. It belonged to Allah in the time of Musa, when Fir'aun was drowned for his crimes. It belonged to Allah in the time of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when He revealed the Shari'ah of Islam, the final Shari'ah for the whole of mankind, that will be the legislation for mankind across the earth until the Day of Judgment. He was the legislator then, and He'll be the legislator today, 1400 years later, and He'll be the legislator until the Day of Judgment, and He'll be the legislator after the Day of Judgment as well. There will never be a time when men will take that role instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? It doesn't change. That hukum doesn't change. Okay, so this, and also we learn from this ayah. The ayah is takhsis. When it says lahu, he says it's for him. That is takhsis, it's specifying. Meaning it's only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is only for him, without any partners. Nobody else can take it. When he said lahul hukm, for him is the hukum, for him is the legislation. there is takhsis. Okay? So nobody else can say halal, haram, reward or punishment. Okay? Another verse where this is mentioned as well is Surah Rum, verse 4. Okay, so Surah 30, verse 4. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِلَّهِ الْأَمْرُ مِنْ قَبْلُ وَمِنْ بَعْدُ. He said, for Allah is the decision before and after. Okay, so there's another one with the same message. Okay, Surah 30, verse 4. Okay, Allah says, for Allah is the decision before and after. Also, we can look to Surah 12, verse 40 and 6, verse 57. Let me rub these out, inshallah. Okay, we're just stressing on the point. Legislation is the role of Allah alone. Okay, the role and rights, haqq of Allah, okay, alone. Surah 12, verse 40, and also Surah 6, verse 57. They say exactly the same thing, though just with a slightly different edition. Okay, so in Surah Yusuf alayhi salam was teaching his companions, in his jail, the non-Muslims there, he was teaching them Tawheed. Okay, calling them, giving them da'wah to Tawheed. And what was his da'wah to Tawheed for them? He was to tell them, إِنَ الْحُكْمُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ أَمَرَ أَن لَا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّهِ. He said to those people in prison with him, look, listen, the legislation belongs to nobody but Allah. And He ordered that you only worship, follow and obey Him exclusively. That's the da'wah to Tawheed. Okay, people, they think da'wah to Tawheed is to say to people, Allah created you. That's not called, that's not enough. Even the Quraysh understood Allah created you. The mistake that they made was that they started to worship, follow and obey other than Allah in uluhiyyah. Okay, so this verse, Yusuf alayhi salam said to them, إِنِ الْحُكْمُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ أَمَرَ أَن لَا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّهِ. He said, the right legislation is for none but Allah, and He ordered that you do not worship except Him. If you think about it today, if you're going to give da'wah to Tawheed in the UK, tell me, what do you think the people believe in this country? Do you think that they believe that Jesus is the Son of God? You really think that they believe that?
No.
Hardly the Christians in this country are really Christian. Hardly you find any of them that go to church. Walk by one of these churches, on a Sunday. Considering that this is a Christian country and they outnumber the Muslims, however huge number, 50 to 1 or something, the way that they outnumber the Muslims here. There's only a few million. We go to the churches, it's empty. All day, all night is empty. Even go to their own day or Sunday, okay, it's empty. Hardly you find anybody there. Okay? Unless there's a celebrity coming that day. Okay? And they're not going there to worship, they're going there for the celebrity. That's the reality. I remember prison. Prison, in a Christian country, even Belmarsh prison, the Muslims are still a minority there. There's a lot of Muslims there, a couple of hundred. There's still a massive minority compared to the non-Muslims. Every Friday, you see all the Muslims, they're up early, ready, miswak in their hand, prayer mat in the other hand, all dressed up in their best clothes, with wudu and everything, waiting at the door for somebody to open to take them to the Jum'ah. And when they used to mess them about and say, you can't go today, they used to have a riot. Some of them, they used to just go crazy, start banging at the doors, and the guard used to be scared of them on that day. Why? Because if he comes out, he's going to bang. He's going to somebody's going to get. You understand? That's what it was like. And on Sunday, you hear them coming around to say it's time for church, Christian services. Okay, it's time for the church. You know, big chapel, full big massive cross there, all made just for the Christians. And they're shouting, anybody want to go to the church services, Christian services? Anybody? Silence. Nobody queuing up, nobody interested, everybody busy, you know, eating noodles or something, whatever.
First call, last call.
Yeah, first call, nothing. Second call, second and a half call, you know, call it again and again. I remember one time we turned around and said, are there no Christians here? What's going on? Begging them, please come to Christian services. Nah, I'm alright, mate. You understand? And in fact, a lot of those Christians, next week Friday, he's queuing up to go to Jum'ah. I said, maybe I want to become Muslim today. That used to drive them crazy. That's the Christian country we have. They don't believe in Christianity. They don't believe in Christianity. But I tell you what they all believe in. They believe in democracy. They believe that men have Al Haakimiyyah. They believe men make the laws. So what do you think the difference it makes? If you say to somebody, yeah, God created you. They say, yeah, I believe you. You think that makes him Muslim? Okay. But then say to him, God is the only legislator. Men don't make laws. Parliament is not, no, it is shirk. You have to disbelieve in parliament and democracy before you become Muslim. Suddenly, things change. So when you go make da'wah to Tawheed in this country, you need to understand where is their shirk, what do they believe in? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told Mu'adh bin Jabal, you're going to Yemen, you're going to meet people, they believe Jesus is the Son of God. So call them to La ilaha illallah. In this country, you need to tell the da'i, you're going to a people they believe men make the laws instead of Allah. Call them to La ilaha illallah. That's how you understand. You're calling them to leave the shirk of democracy and come to the Tawheed. That's how you call them to Islam and call them to Tawheed. So, also in Surah 6 verse 57, we'll give the verse there as well. Again, Allah Ta'ala says, إِنَ الْحُكْمُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ يَقُصُّ الْحَقَّ وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الْفَاصِلِينَ. He said, the hukum, the law, decision, it belongs only to Allah. Allah declares to you the truth and He is the best of all judges. So this is the hukum of Allah Ta'ala. Also, Surah Kahf verse 26. I'll give you one other point we can make here. Allah does not permit anyone to share his right of legislation. If it wasn't obvious already, we make it clear. This is part of Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah. We understand. Allah does not allow anybody to share his right of legislation at all. Surah Kahf, verse 26. Surah 18, verse 26. Okay. This verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَلَا يُشْرِكُ فِي حُكْمِهِ أَحَدًا. Okay. وَلَا يُشْرِكُ فِي حُكْمِهِ أَحَدًا. He said, He does not, okay, Allah does not share His hukum, His legislation with anybody. Okay. Allah does not share His hukum, His decision, His law with anybody at all. Okay, this is Surah Kahf, verse 26. There's something special about this verse. Not the only verse this happens, but you see with the Quran, the way that Uthman, he wrote the Quran, when they wrote it down, they wrote it down trying to maintain and combine as many of the different recitations of the Quran. So obviously there are 7 different recitations, Allah revealed in different ways, based upon the different dialects, and so try to combine them all in one way. So you see this verse, Allah Ta'ala, He says, وَلَا يُشْرِكُ فِي حُكْمِهِ أَحَدًا. Be okay, so one thing you need to understand about the Quran, originally it was written without any dots. Okay, there were no dots or harakat at all. Okay, and so they put the harakat later, and they wrote it in this way to include as many of the different recitations in one writing. The way it works, subhanAllah, is incredible. This verse, it can read like this, if you put the dots. وَلَا يُشْرِكُ فِي حُكْمِهِ أَحَدًا. Okay? But in another qira'ah, the qira'ah of Ibn Amir, okay, we just change the dots and put it up here. Now it reads, وَلَا تُشْرِكْ فِي حُكْمِهِ أَحَدًا. Both of the meanings are correct. Both of them are valid recitation of the Quran. Both of them are as it was revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but two different recitations. And both of them, and whenever all the different recitations, they all have correct meaning. Okay, always. So the verse in the recitation of Ibn Amir, it reads, وَلَا تُشْرِكْ فِي حُكْمِهِ أَحَدًا, which means, don't associate partners with Allah in His hukum, anybody. The first one, Allah is declaring, He doesn't share His hukum with anybody. In this recitation is forbidding you, prohibition. Saying, don't dare associate partners with the hukum of Allah, anybody. I mean, don't make anybody else the hakim, the legislator, with instead of Allah Ta'ala, or more, make him a partner. Okay, so both of those recitations are from Surah 18, verse 26. Surah Ash-Shura, verse 10. And one of the things you need to remember as well, that Allah Ta'ala, He sent the messages and the books for this purpose. That's the whole purpose of the books. That when you differ in a matter, you refer to the law of Allah in the book to solve your disputes. Okay? We said this, Allah's law is the only arbiter. Okay? Meaning the only one that makes, resolves your disputes, decides your disputes, is Allah Ta'ala, His law. Okay? That's what law does at the end of the day. Remember we showed you last time, you have the legislator, and then you have the judges that judge by that law. So when people dispute, the judge will say, well, this is what the law says. So that's how we know who is right or wrong. So who makes that law? That's the question. Okay. Surah Shura, verse 10. Okay, Surah 42, verse 10. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما اختلفتم فيه من شيء فحكمه إلى الله. He said, whatever you differ in, the law, the decision is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, the decision belongs to Allah. Can you see that on the board? I'm covering it, I think. Can you see it? Okay, so whatever you differ in, the decision is with Allah. I mean, when you have two disputes, you want to go to somebody to solve that dispute. Sorry? I can sit down. When you want to solve that dispute, you go to somebody to resolve it for you, to make a decision, make a judgment. Who do you go to? You go to the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So that's what the purpose of His legislation and revealing the Quran and the books to the people is in the first place. Surah Ghafir, verse 12. Allah warning us about those who neglect the Haakimiyyah in the Tawheed. Surah 40, verse 12. Okay, Surah 40, verse 12. Allah says, ذلكم بأنه إذا دعي الله وحده كفرتم وإن يشرك به تؤمنوا فالحكم لله العلي الكبير. He said, that is because whenever the people they worship Allah alone, you disbelieve. But whenever they associate partners with Him, you believe in them. So the judgment, the law, the hukum, it belongs to Allah, and He is the highest, the greatest. SubhanAllah, if you think about this ayah for a second. If you come out today and you say to the people, don't obey the man-made laws, only obey Allah, they call you extremist. They call you extremist. If you say to them, come and vote for me, I want to become MP and legislate laws in parliament, they say to you, MashaAllah, this is a good Muslim, this is practicing, he's a wise man, has a hikmah, we should all vote for him, tactically come together, invite you to the masjid to give khutbah, invite you to teach the people. This is what happens. When the people call you to worship Allah alone, they say, no, we're not going to do it. We don't accept it. It's too hard. When they call you to commit shirk at Allah, they all accept it from you. They all accept that nifaq. This one says, but he said that the hukm is for Allah. The hukm is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first place. Surah 5 verse 50 as well. Stick the color scheme. Okay, Surah 5 verse 50. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَحُكْمَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ يَبْغُونَ وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حُكْمًا لِقَوْمٍ يُوقِنُونَ. He said, do they seek the law of Jahiliyyah, the law of the days of shirk before? Is that what they want? And who is better than Allah in His own legislation for people who have yaqeen, people who have iman, people who believe in Allah? In other words, Allah is saying, unless you are kafir, unless you don't believe in Allah with certainty, you're doubting Allah, you would never go to the laws of Jahiliyyah, the laws of man-made law. You never go to them. Because the one who believes in certainty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created me and He legislated for us in the Quran, He will never leave that law for any man-made laws. Because part of His iman. Part of His iman. Why would you think otherwise? Even look to Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. He saw the verse of the Quran talking about the Tawrat before and said that it has guidance and it has nur inside. So he picked up some of the pages of the Tawrat, to read from it. When the Prophet ﷺ, and the Tawrat not man-made laws, obviously he was reading from what? The previous books revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the Prophet ﷺ saw in the hand of Umar this, you know what he asked him? Are you in doubt, O son of Al-Khattab? Do you doubt about Islam? Do you doubt about Quran? You understand? The idea that you leave the Quran for any other book, even the previous books which have been abrogated now, it suggests that maybe what? Do you doubt about Islam or something? Or you think the Quran is not the word of Allah? Or what? So are you in doubt, Umar Khattab? He said, no, I just thought. He said, even if my brother Musa was alive today, he'd have no choice but to follow me. Meaning he couldn't follow the Tawrat anymore, he has to follow the Quran. There's no choice, only the Shari'ah of Muhammad. If you have yaqeen in Allah, you believe in Allah, you believe in Muhammad, you believe in the Quran, that means you will never accept any law other than the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's aqeedah. That's your own contract. Aqeedah from the word aqd, and uqdah, from the knots and the contract. You tied yourself to your belief. You believe Allah is the legislator and He legislated the Shari'ah in the Quran, His word, the Quran and the Sunnah, the revelation. If that's what you believe, you tie yourself to that belief. That means you are declaring, when you say La ilaha illallah, I will never worship anybody but Allah, I'll never accept anybody to be worshipped instead of Allah. Okay? He will never accept for any law to be obeyed except for the law of Allah. He will never accept any judge to judge except to judge by whatever Allah revealed. He will never accept any ruler to rule by man-made laws, only to rule by the law of Allah. That's your aqeedah. When you see somebody ruling by man-made laws, this is Taghut, I need to rise against him. This is Taghut, I need to stop him. Somebody stop this man, what's he doing? He's transgressing, trying to take the right of Allah. He will never accept it. That is the muwahhid. He doesn't just believe for himself and he keeps it to himself and then he lets the people run wild in the earth. No. He commands good, forbid the evil. Especially commanding to Tawheed and forbidding from the shirk. So this is Surah 5 verse 50. Okay? And this is why whenever people started to go to man-made laws instead of ruling by Islam, the ulama would rise against them. Like in the time of Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Kathir, Ibn Qayyim, they saw the Tatar. Okay? The Tatar, they invaded the Islamic lands, then they so-called claimed to become Muslim. They embraced Islam. But then they started to rule over the people, not by Islam, by Al-Yasiq. Ruled by these laws of Genghis Khan, and it was a mixture of all these different laws, including some laws from Islam. some rules from Islam, some rules from Christianity, and some wise sayings of Genghis Khan and others. You know the reaction of Ibn Kathir and Ibn Taymiyyah when they saw this? What did they say? Kufr dun kufr? What did they say? No. Ibn Kathir said that whoever does what those Tattar did is obliged, wajib to fight them because they become kafir. Ibn Taymiyyah said, kill them even if you see them praying in the masjid. Okay? And the salah is iman. The salah is iman. Al-ahdu baynana wa bayna al-kuffar as-salah. The difference between us and the kuffar is salah. Normally, if you see somebody praying, you say, what? He must be mu'min. He must be a Muslim. We judge him by the apparent. But the one who prays and says the shahada and the kalima, then he rules by man-made laws, he is mushrik. It doesn't matter what his salah. His salah doesn't save him from all that kufr. Okay? It doesn't save him from that. So by them ruling by man-made laws makes them kafir, even if they pray and they fast and they say the kalima and the shahada. Another verse, inshaAllah, we will look to Surah An'am, verse 114. Okay, Surah 6, verse 114. We're not going to finish all the verses about Haakimiyyah this today. I can see we're running out of time already. So we'll have to continue next week, inshaAllah, on the topic of Haakimiyyah. Surah 6, verse 114. Okay, Surah 6, verse 114. Allah Ta'ala says, أَفَغَيْرَ اللَّهِ أَبْتَغِي حَكَمًا وَهُوَ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكِتَابَ مُفَصَّلًا. He said, do they seek a legislator other than Allah? And Allah is the one who sent to you the book with clear, detailed rules. Okay. And so, وَالَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ مُنَزَّلٌ مِّن رَبِّكَ بِالْحَقِّ. And those who, the people of the book, those who the book came to them, they know that this was revealed from their Lord in truth. فَلَا تَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْمُمْتَرِينَ. So don't become one of those who doubt. Okay? Don't become one of those who have doubt and disbelief in Allah. So he's declaring here, who dares? After Allah sent you the book with clear laws in every single matter, legislating for all matters, and I mean every single matter. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, Allah the Quran doesn't tell you about so and so. Just your own ignorance. If you don't know, ask somebody who knows. Stop playing games. They say to you, oh, did Allah reveal about the traffic laws? Yes, Allah revealed about everything. Did Allah reveal to you about modern technology? Yes, Allah revealed about everything. Don't play games. Just because you're jahil, you never studied Islam, you want to say to me, oh, Islam doesn't tell you. How do you know what Islam tells you or doesn't Islam? You never studied anything. You don't know, you never read the Quran. If you don't know, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask those who know if you don't know. Don't start to make up claims and then justify your own shirk, your own democracy based upon that. Allah revealed laws about every single matter, every aspect of life as a complete way of life. Some people say Islam is a complete way of life, but they don't really believe it. Okay? When we say it's a complete way of life, that means there's no part of your life except that Allah revealed guidelines and laws about it. Okay? That's what we mean by a complete way of life. War and peace, government, the police, economy, trade, social, marriage, everything has laws about it. Even the way you clean yourself in the toilet has laws about it. Okay? Everything from sanitation to the environment, everything has the Shari'ah touches and speaks about it and lays down exactly what the laws are about it in detail. So Allah said, Allah sent you the book mufassala, clear, detailed in its own laws. Okay? There's nothing small or big except that is mentioned in the book. And then you want to take a different legislator instead of Allah? We're going to go to somebody else to decide the laws instead of Allah Ta'ala? This matter not only of shirk and Haakimiyyah, just on a simple matter of adab and gratefulness. How ungrateful. Allah Ta'ala gives you the perfect system and you want to invent an imperfect system instead. You want to go to men instead. And those men don't even make istinja. They don't even know what's good for themselves. And you want to ask them, what do you think is best for the whole of society? Do you know better than Allah? I think you know better than Allah. Astaghfirullah. So, there's another verse, inshaAllah. I'll try and squeeze a couple more in before we finish. Okay, there's another very good verse to make the point, inshaAllah. Surah An'am, verse number. I need to find the reference for you quickly. Surah 16 verse 116, not Surah An'am. Surah 16 verse 116. Okay, Surah 16 verse 116. Okay, and this is addressing, you can imagine, it's addressing all of us, but let's say for specifically addressing those MPs. Let them read this verse and understand Allah's talking to you. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَا تَصِفُ أَلْسِنَتُكُمُ الْكَذِبِ هذا حلال وهذا حرام لتفتروا على الله الكذب إن الذين يفترون على الله الكذب لا يفلحون. He said, do not say with your lying tongues the falsehood, the lying, that this is halal and this is haram. Okay? هذا حلال وهذا حرام. Don't say this is halal, this is haram, this is legal, this is illegal. Okay? And that's the whole job of the MP. That's all they do in Parliament. Decide what is legal, what is illegal. And who said to you, you can do that? Who told you? Who gave you that permission? Okay, and what did Allah say? So don't say with your lying tongues the lie that this is halal, this is haram. Okay, lying about Allah, inventing a lie about Allah. Why? Because unless Allah said it's legal or illegal, it's not illegal or illegal. He's a legislator. If you declaring it's illegal or this is illegal, you are signing on behalf of Allah this law and fatwa. Either you replacing Allah and your Tawheed, kafir, or you're lying about Allah, claiming that Allah legislated this when He didn't legislate it. Both of them are called istibdal. It's not just if you say, only if you say, oh, if Allah said it, then it's shirk. But if I just lie about Allah, it's okay. No, you're lying about Allah, and those who lie about Allah, they will never be successful. I mean, they'll never go to Jannah. Okay? So Surah 16 verse 116. Allah forbade this concept, this idea of people making their own ideas of what is legal or illegal, what is haram, halal, mandub, recommended. You make it decide it for yourself. And I'll just give you one more verse, inshallah, because it's related to this as well. I could end up going on for a long time, but we've got 10 minutes. I want to save a bit of time for question and answers, inshallah. Surah Ash-Shura, verse 21. Okay, Surah 42, verse 21. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاء شَرَعُوا لَهُمْ مِنَ الدِّينِ مَا لَمْ يَأْذَنْ بِهِ اللَّهِ. He said, do they have partners with Allah? Okay, do they have partners with Allah that legislate for them the way of life without permission from Allah? Okay, I mean, Allah Ta'ala declared those who legislate, they've been taken as partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they never had permission from Allah. Okay. And you see how all these verses are so explicit. Okay, so explicit. And yet people, they're complaining about why he says the fourth category, akhi. It doesn't matter fourth category, it's shirk. You understand? The ones who are legislating the man-made laws, they are mushrik. They are taghut. And the ones who are obeying the worship, they are mushrik. Okay? Keep it as a second category, is fine. Just make takfir upon those people, please. Save us from their own shirk and their own tughyan. Those rulers, they don't become safe. Don't suddenly become Muslim just because you said, akhi, is not fourth category, it's part of the uluhiyyah. They're still mushrik taghut. They're still been taking partners with Allah. They're still legislating without permission from Allah. They're still declaring and lying about Allah in their own laws, saying halal and haram. They're still becoming like the rabbis and the priests, being taken laws instead of Allah, making istihlal, making the alcohol legal, making the interest legal, making the gambling legal. Even many countries, prostitution is legal, zina is legal, adultery is legal, even homosexuality is legal. What's left? Understand? So they are legislating, making haram, halal, halal, haram. The only thing that's illegal in the country is jihad. Everything upside down. So we'll leave it here. We'll continue, inshallah, next week with some more verses talking about it. We'll talk about it in more detail as well. After we looked at all the evidences, all the verses, we can look to the history of Haakimiyyah, and some of the additional points or principles that we learn from it. We talk about the aims, the maqasid Al Haakimiyyah, the aims of the Haakimiyyah as well. The two types, Takwiniyyah and Shari'ah, we'll go to a bit further as well. And we talk about the sources of how we take the laws of Allah Ta'ala, who's the only legislator, where do we get those masajid, and the tools that we use to establish and implement that Haakimiyyah of Allah Ta'ala. All of that inshallah we'll do next week, so we're only going to be halfway through, halfway through the topic of Tawheed Al Haakimiyyah. We want to do it in good detail inshallah. Studying it, and alhamdulillah I can see most of you are writing notes. We want to keep that going. I want to keep it in detail. We should take it down, and we don't want the ilm to be lost. And inshallah one day you need to go away, and next time you need to be the one on this side of the table teaching and spreading the ilm. Okay? Especially in this time when you have so many people calling for the shirk and few people willing to call for the tawheed. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.